Hi, welcomers. We have a fantastic breath in astrology right now that is marooning to the tune of the number 3. Saturn at 3 degrees. Whoops, did I get all my cards? Yes. Saturn at 3 degrees in Pisces with a Venus currently. It's not conjunct or aspecting. Oh dang it. Venus right now, do I even know? I don't even know what sign it's in. I don't think she's in Cancer. She might be in Taurus. Venus, yeah. Venus is currently in Taurus at 27 degrees. So, as numerology is speaking, um, 3 is the number of significant value. Add 27 to the number 3, you get 30. 3 plus 0 is 3. If you want to do numerology that way. If you want to make the lines linear in comparison with each other, 2 plus 7 is 9, plus 3 is 12, 1 plus 2 is 3. 3, the magic number. We have it. It's in alignment. So with the journey today, I want to create the fact that Saturn is currently on our descendant side. So I'm going to cut that short. Venus is currently sitting in the midhaven where I'm living, and that's just where the accurate correspondent to the reading is going to be. Do I need a clarifier? Are we going to talk about our sister planet today and its comparison to Earth? I've got my green deck here. If we need anything to talk about, we're going to go through it, okay? Thank you. I hope all of you are doing well, especially during this transitory period, but I hope at the arrival of this video you guys have met it into a fruitive correspondence. Now, what are we going to talk about? I'm still up in the air. This number is very sacred to me, and it's about privacy and conjunction with a considerable aspect of the peace that we seek to give and pertain to other people, but even withhold from giving to them in that current limelight. It's like we're not dealing with Sagittarian energy, but I'm willing to be a little friendly to the Piscean energy that Saturn is in by considering the fact that that sign is square that aspect. So I'm going to be a little friendly here. I even have a square spread. I wish I could have given you something that has a up-down experience, but it is square. So now with the card that I have to represent Saturn in its 3-degree Pisces energy is the King of Elixirs. I'm just connecting with the fluorescence, but I'm getting a lot of energy relating to the vaporization of a lot of the fortuity that this card alludes to. And I'm even learning it as we speak. But we have ferns at the bottom that connects us with that evaporative experience. Water can be expressed and connected to from all angles of the um, physicality, like the physical phases that it can go in through. Um, and I like that the sun is even present in the card itself. Like the sun is up here at the top. Um, so I don't want to assign too much fire energy, but this is more of like a wheel of. I've been connecting a lot with the Wheel of Fortune lately. I've been seeing tens everywhere. So I'm either drawn between the world or the Wheel of Fortune in why the sign could be represented in the King of Elixirs. Um, it's frustrating to sort of go into a transit, like a transition phase, where you are left at the wheel. Like you have to know and experience the Wheel of Fortune to its maximum before you can understand that the world is made available to you. Because then you understand when the wheel is present and you can go forward. But it's like if you're experiencing the world first and you're thrusted into new situations that you have to think on your feet with, you must be very connected with your rising sign. Because I wouldn't want that for me, just as a Cancer rising. But it's like I need to know the ish first before I can go and deal. Like that's all I gotta handle it on that with. But um, so we're handling like a lot of okay, so in the past, coming downward, like we're seeing the past that Venus has come from. Like Venus is aspected ahead of um that's even true. that that is true. Venus has already gone through Pisces. It's headed and it's landed in Taurus. Um so the past, like the most recent past that Venus is sort of enlightened upon, maybe in the consciousness, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not. I mean, we're dealing with the social aspect of Saturn, and the continuity here corresponds to the fact that we're dealing with enlightened beings that are social even outside of our present Earth experience. So the Queen of Keys is the card, by the way. I'm not gonna keep like expounding upon like what linear knowledge like this is providing, but Venus has probably either met or sown with because it's even in Taurus, like why is this a gate? I'm even getting to the like I'm focusing upon like the keyhole and the Queen of Keys has probably been presented with the information and knowledge known, and the guides that we're connecting with already have access or found knowledge on how to make the attainment and apply the new wisdom to gain access to the furtherment of like the collective consciousness that our social will deems us to be a part of. Like this is the recent past. It is in Taurus. It had to come through Aries, and there could be some karmic cycles or linear patterns that our guides have gone through to create an inspiration for you that is timely enough for you to be prepared for the communicative power of Gemini. Because that's where Venus is going to be headed into after it's gone into its retrograde. We're going to experience the retrograde very soon because currently with the Sun in Aries and Venus in Taurus, like Venus might tip into Gemini and then go directly back into Taurus and experience. And as we talk about it socially, I've already given tongue to it, but like if other people aren't willing to communicate the fact that like this is an aspect of our astrological calendar that we're going to experience, we're going to be in doubt, in the fog. Like our soul will not know that this is the reality if we do not commit to it ourselves. We have to be very careful with that. I'm not going to get connected with Venus in Pisces, but because we're dealing with a timeline of Venus being ahead of Saturn, even at 3 degrees, we're going to have some experience with the direct deposit of like the information that is of Piscean like tangential time. Because it is ahead, we're dealing with the past of Venus as it is until the crux of where Saturn is at its degree. Now I'm connecting with a lot of like Aries energy right now. Currently we have the 6 of elixirs in the extended period that Venus has gone through. 6 of elixirs is going to show us like a lot of the ways that we can meet people and commit to the message that they are communicating to our personality, our soul, but we're going to be left short not going too far with the fact that I'm still talking about like the square of Sagittarius. Aries is like I met you. Sagittarius is like I plan you. But like what Venus is and the guides have gone through are like someone butt in your head and then the other person be like, oh yeah, I was totally in on that. Like and it's almost like you're in a situation where you're in a forced commitment or forced reciprocity. This isn't upside down or reversal. So I don't think like I want to connect to the energy that our guides can even make considerations or experiences where they're not going to do like it takes these backsies. They hit you, they're going to commit to it, and then you have the experience of like the other party wanting to be involved and commit their 2 cents, and then they're waiting. They're not going for it. They're not trying to interrupt you. They're not going to try and make you stall and look dumb and win the upper hand. It's, I mean, we are dealing with Aries energy, but because this is a stretch of time that isn't, it's very observed because Venus is so aspected with trying to make connections with our guides rather than it just being a physical labor or experience. So things have been lined up, the linear pattern here. You kind of, Saturn is experiencing the stress of not being overwhelmed with the weight of emotion, and it's even creating the gaseous form. So it's like there is probably heat that's been present. It could be just like the weight, like we're not talking about like searing pain, but I'm alluding to the fact that it's like that instance may have happened, and then the energy of the room shifts and everyone's like creating a vacuum, an intense pressure or heat that creates the evaporation for you to experience and makes you a little more self-aware of yourself than you probably have been lately. More aware of yourself than you have been lately. um the things that we want to commit to the fact that we're able to handle these things sometimes, but like it's good to know that where Venus has been and what it's trying to do is create that contention in a space where you have time to handle it and it's not happening to you in the physical world in real time, where you're going to end up going into shock and committing or tripping up upon like specific content or worldly matters that you are unaware of that are used and manipulated against you in a gaslight kind of scenario. Trip the fire before it happened, before it's even been lit. It's not fair. So, that's it's the rough patch that like we all experienced potentially, but what we want to commit to are the words and concrete reality that we get to create with and in tandem to a lot of the foresight and wisdom that is written. If we're not too into astrology, it's gonna get away from you. And then our guides are just gonna start making plans elsewhere. It's like you have everything given to you, but if you're not willing to use it, is it going to be and I think it's very that. So yes, let's move onward. Okay, so now I want to deal with the conversation of future Saturn here. The Saturn that's going to even stretch like this is a 6-year period that I'm talking about. We're leaving Pisces, the degree that Saturn is currently in, and we're talking about when it's going to meet the degree that Venus has achieved in Taurus. So this is a long time away. We have like, I'm going to keep this more relevant than not, but this is like a timeline that we're going to meet. So the Pisces figment here, we have more sun energy. More sun has been presented by the Fortuna deck, but this card is judgment. Pisces is going to be handling a lot of the things. There may be some tears, a lot of things and emotions that you get to express that you haven't been able to do yet for a while. Tapping into what we're doing here, those people may even just be prepared to be and extend and hold that weight for you so that there's no off run. Like you're not overbearing the person. They're able to soak up exactly what you're giving them. Don't be too hard on yourselves coming through. This is a very emotional like season because it is Pisces, but Pisces is about like social reciprocity, the availability, the meeting you at the time when it's meant for, because it's like you're not don't feel so upset if you begin to express the emotion and something stops you. Someone wasn't there, or if the wrong things are in the room. It's like I had a memory made with a specific thing that I kept dear to my heart, and it's not even present with me at the moment. So it's like, just be so in tune, touch yourself like with the context of like the spirit that you are so present with. Allow yourselves and your friends the opportunity to be able to experience those special things and mementos that you get to keep for yourself. So if you begin to express the emotion, but you feel even enlightened to stop, don't feel like because you've had this message, it's impressed upon you to even invoke it. You know, find it when it's time. It'll be very good for you. So we have that judgment. Now where is Venus? The Saturn that Venus is trying to correct, like, this is an inner planet, so it's going to be very hard. We're going to need a lot of time for Saturn to prepare for the conversation that Venus wants us to have at this moment. We have, are you kidding me? The Seven of Elixirs. So now, with the Seven of Elixirs, we do have the crown aspect, the halo. Um, um, to keep all conversations considered, we have the Hail Mary, we have like more ribbons, we have even energy left over. Is that what's in here? Wow. We're not, are we bottling things up? Are we making reservations for other things? Who even knows? Okay. That is a very powerful message. I wasn't expecting or anticipating this to happen, but if we do have more resonant energy that Saturn is like, we're going to be dealing with Cancerian energy. And that, because it's Saturn, we can even be awaiting a Cancer season where we get to be benevolent and shine light upon the people we care about. That's going to be so powerful. But we have to consider the fact that, like, by the time Saturn has entered Taurus, Jupiter might have a retrograde into Cancer. So be mindful of this. Be mindful of this. We're currently with a Jupiter in Aries. So keep the conversation light. Understand the investments that people make into the energy. Like, understand that it's a social aspect and creature that we even have record and liberation for. So we get to continue with the forthright, like, understanding of the tangential patterns that our guides are going to do to make sure that our physicality, our existence isn't tampered with or poured and overflowed. This is going to be very important. Okay. Now, when I see Saturn go into Aries, I'm witnessing currently in front of me the Three of Talismans. Now, the Talismans is a very powerful experience because it's not a pentacle. It's not a tip. It's not a tithe. It's a, I even wear it. You know, like, you're not going to somewhere and being like, you know, I'm making investments at a later date. You're part of the creation process. And this Three of Talismans, everyone who's meeting in this room is part of the creative experience. Be connected with that energy. We're going to have another 2 years before we get in there. But that is what we're dealing with. Now, when we get into Taurus, I'm sensing the fact that what I saw was this talisman staying positioned and then these talismans flying outward. So it's like what we're seeing are your present reality is maintained, standard structure has been established so that when those other people leave, there shouldn't be any altering taking place. You're able to stay still. you can maintain the transaction at a distance. You might not need to be like so eternally close together that you are reliant upon this. Taurus, like, yes, it's about emotional distance, but we're even considering like coming to the energy of like being emotionally distant with someone who's even next to you. Like, but like what's hurt and what's harmful is the fact that like we will have a Saturn that had been in Aries. So it's like there is some unbent tithe, time, or reciprocity or message that needs to be given after they've made distance with you. This is going to be a long time from now. So don't get too stressed about it. Right now, I'm getting the fact that we are in close proximity to the people that we are going to be around. You know, we and like the thing about divine alignment is that it happens without contention. There were no heartbreaks, you know, and like to go back into the wound that Saturn is describing, like we're dealing with the Venus that had been in Aries with the Queen of Keys. Our guides understand, you know, that person's not even in the room. And like you got to express yourself a little bit, but it's like, especially in the America that we live in, we have so much like at our disposal in terms of social contracting that even like online social reality is betwixt you, and you get to make plans that are even enlightening upon the experience that you are going to sow. Now, ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, the Seven of Elixirs, I'm holding you. The card that is shown, like with the astrology symbol, we have a Scorpio. Yes, we have a Scorpio. Now, what is the message that Venus wants to give you? Okay, I'm gonna actually pull from this side deck that I had pulled out earlier. Let's see what we have. Okay, I'm just gonna shuffle you once, and then I'm gonna pull. Oh, okay. The card that I'm pulling isn't one that I feel divinely guided toward, but has been led to assimilating with. So we have the King of Matches, and the card title is Born Leader. Okay, this is coming through. So we have our lion atop a like bingo cage. Sorry, that's what it looks like. But the King of Matches, this match is lit. It is enlightened. It has fire. So the thing about like the conversation that I'm talking about, like the fear of being singed, like when there has been too much fire pushed upon you, especially with Saturn being in Pisces. The thing and like tangential leadership that is being given here is the crux of emotion that you sometimes wish that you can, be even prepared for someone to stop you and say that it is not time. And even understand like that the agreement upon that fire that had snuffed you as an emotional person or leader, like you get to, you know, either find more time to experience the peace that you enjoy so much that you want to share, but somebody is not ready for you yet, you know? But it's a peace that you experience to the fullest already on your own. So it doesn't even matter that you get to have that on your own. Um, Go forward like with the fact that it's like you may even have like a plan or something that you want, and it's like you think youth is so important that if it slips through your fingers it's too late. Like, so continue to make adjustments, find time like to connect with people who are involved in the process and go further upon that. But if we have the king of matches here and you experience that energy when it happens, like be like, oh, okay, so someone is making plans for me, but it's just not here. It's a temporary pause. Be okay with that. Um Now, okay, yes, the words we have: vision and intent, and success. Vision and intent. Um, Saturn in Pisces. Pisces talks a lot, and this is one of the favorite tuning aspects that people in astrology get familiar with, are talking to like the peace and solitude that Pisces commits to. But like that's to me that's not what Pisces is about. I'm like, that's about me kikiing with girls who are experiencing the same peace that I am. But it's not to be fun. You know, sometimes like the Saturn will force you to even like break the surface tension and take a breath, not be submerged in your alone time. Like, be like, oh my god, and they were here the whole time. Like, does this aspect congeal to a formidable experience that you've experienced before, where you think you have to be so alone, and like it's kind of like, if we're going to talk about the Little Mermaid, like it's going to be like her moment where she comes out of the water and sits upon that rock, and that wave crashes behind her, and she's like, that water is still here and I am above, you know. So she gets to experience that momentous experience. We experience those things. I have that in my calendar, but it's not like a thing that maybe some people think that they have available to them. Don't get like too present upon vanity. I am going to talk about this. So we have like judgment here. And the way that Saturn is talking about the message is the sun going into the cup, to this cone. It's not suspended in space and impervious to the falling and forward action that it would be like a coin were to drop. Like, don't be too surprised if that happens. It's sometimes we don't want, sometimes we want to allow ourselves those moments of having the freedom of a fresh of breath air, but like understanding that there are friends like who are in that vicinity, who may even been waiting for you, who will like call you out, But the expression and experience of vanity here is to understand that sometimes the people who are most in your corner aren't going to be the ones who will look at you. They will allow their shoulder to be pressed back against that wall while you're on the other side. And sometimes it's to let them know, let the other person know that you are here for them. But you can. And that's honestly the thing that's going to be the hardest for you to accept sometimes. But it's good shit. It's good shit. Because then you get to be somebody. But don't do it if you know it's against you. The wit is against you. So don't play with it. But they're allowing you your free time. And that's honestly what's fun. Meet the person who did come and see you. Have the times of your lives. This reading, like, it's a time period that is going to be well in the future, so I'm not going to express upon like the aspect that Saturn is going to push into. But feel free to review that aspect of this reading because it is very important. We did talk about Taurus. We talked about the talismans. We can go into judgment a little further. Now, the conversation with Venus, feel free to go and see it. But it's like, this is something that your guides have been doing. And if you hear what I've said and you have that okay, prove it energy, go about it. Wits about you, mama. So I love you. Take care of yourselves. And I will see you in the next reading, okay? Goodbye.